The following Father Baker Today special is sponsored by Friends of OLV Charities.
Hello, I'm Kevin Sylvester. I want to thank you for joining us. I'm here at the OLV campus, which is the home of Father Baker's City of Charity. Father Baker devoted his life and ministry to caring for youth and families and providing resources for those in need. Over the next half hour, you'll hear how this mission carries on today through the soon-to-be open OLV Human Services Evaluation and Treatment Center. We're happy you could join us as we bring you Father Baker Today. Anyone who's ever driven by or visited Father Baker's City of Charity in Lackawanna has to admire the dedication Father Nelson Baker had to make a difference in our community. His passion can still be felt today, and over the next half hour, I'll be joined by leaders from OLV Human Services to learn more about the programs and services they offer to children and families and the soon-to-be-open OLV Human Services Evaluation and Treatment Center. We'll learn about the desperate need for more screening opportunities and services for young people with autism challenges. Later on, we'll also share the types of services the center will provide for each child and how it positively impact the autistic community in our region. But first, I'm joined by Cindy Lee, the Chief Executive Officer of OLV Human Services. Good to see you again, Cindy.
Hi, Kevin. Good to see you.
Well, that might be the first time some folks are hearing about OLV Human Services. Why don't you tell us what it is and what you folks do?
Sure. We are the 6th largest human service agency in Western New York. We serve approximately 12,000 to 14,000 individuals and families each year through our residential, educational, clinical, and community-based services. And our goal is really to provide individuals who have trauma histories or developmental disabilities with the services and support necessary so they can live their best independent lives.
That number might surprise some folks that it's over 10,000 that you're helping here in Western New York, which is great. And you mentioned trauma, and there's something you do here called trauma-informed care. Why don't you inform us what that is?
Okay. A couple of years ago, we partnered with the Traumatic Stress Institute to provide professional education to every single employee of OLV Human Services to understand that individuals who have experienced trauma in their lives may act, interact, and react differently to challenging situations than someone who doesn't have that kind of history. So approaching individuals with care, compassion, and consistency, and always understanding there's a story behind the behavior and trying to figure out what that is before we try to support them.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense when you think about anybody who's experienced trauma and they relive it at times and,
Right.
and stuff, so you're equipped to help those folks out. And tell me about intensive treatment program.
So our intensive treatment program is the only program like it in the state of New York. It's a cross-systems collaboration between the New York State Office of Mental Health, the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, the New York State Education Department. And it provides comprehensive services to youth 12 to 21 who have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and or an intellectual disability and also have a mental health diagnosis. So we provide residential treatment for them. They live with us 24/7, and we also provide their educational programming.
Well, it sounds like a great program for those folks to get their value, help them find their value too.
We're very proud of it.
All right, and we got to take care of our teeth here. Tell me about Baker Victory Dental Center.
So we operate a dental clinic also, the Baker Victory Healthcare Center. And in addition to providing dental services to the general population, we also have a specific expertise for working with individuals with disabilities. So why that matters for the population of individuals with autism is addressing their sensory needs. Going to the dentist is not always a pleasant experience for everyone, so we do our best to try to provide the best care possible for people who may not really enjoy that experience.
Yeah, well, it certainly makes sense too, because everyone needs to take care of their teeth, and overall health is so important with the dental health. So thank you, Cindy, for sharing some of the great work that you're doing here at OLV Human Services. And of course, we're going to hear more about it as the show continues, giving us all a peek inside of what's important here for OLV and the Western New York children, young folks, adults, and families. Now, if you'd like to learn more about OLV Human Services or to donate today, call 716-828-9500 or go to olvhs.org. Now, coming up when Father Baker Today returns, we'll hear more about the Evaluation and Treatment Center and talk about the types of support and service available for children. We'll be right back.
This segment of Father Baker Today is sponsored by Friends of OLV Charities.
Welcome back to Father Baker Today. I'm Kevin Sylvester. OLV has more than 160 years of experience in serving children and youth with behavioral disabilities, and in the spirit of Father Baker, is constantly seeking to address community needs, especially those involving at-risk children, youth, adults, and families. And to talk more about how OLV is addressing those needs in our community, once again, CEO Cindy Lee, and joined by Mary Swigert, the Chief Officer of the Treatment and Evaluation Center. Thank you both for being here again.
Thank you.
Mary, let's talk about the Evaluation and Treatment Center. It's opening spring of 2024. What is it and how's it going to work?
Sure. So the Evaluation and Treatment Center will provide assessments and evaluations for children suspected of having a developmental disability, including autism. So the results of those assessments and evaluations will be used for the team to review, and if there are any appropriate diagnoses, they would be given at that time. So what's important about the diagnoses is then the child can actually begin treatment. And we know that the earlier the treatment can happen, the better off the long-term outcomes for that child are.
Yeah, and that evaluation, Cindy, will help OLV try to address the needs of the particular families and clients of the services and our community, right?
Yes, so the CDC is currently citing the incidence of autism in the general population as 1 in 36. So it's definitely a need that we need to respond to. At OLV, we have experience working with children with autism and their families through early intervention, birth through 2 services, preschool, which is ages 3 through 5, and also our school age programming, 5 through 21. We also operate the intensive treatment program, which was specifically designed to work with youth who are considered dually diagnosed, which means that they have autism and or an intellectual disability, as well as a mental health diagnosis. So we're very proud of the work that we do to support children with autism and their families, and we're looking forward to this additional service.
Yeah, the term spectrum is used, and it's because there's a wide range of, I think there's a stigma about autism that we all have this belief of what it is, but it's a wide variety, isn't it?
Definitely is.
And what's the Evaluation and Treatment Center going to look like for folks who come to it?
Sure. So it's going to be at 790 Ridge Road. There is a large free parking lot for the convenience of families. The center will be located right off of the elevator, but we're going for a safe yet fully accessible and fun environment for the kids.
And how does folks, they get referred to the center, or can they set up an appointment? How's that going to work?
Sure. So if the family is concerned with the child's development, they should first talk to the pediatrician. We will take referrals from the pediatric offices, but families can also call us on their own if they have a question or a concern and would like to bring the child in.
Yeah, and Cindy, this sounds to me like this is another opportunity for families in Western New York to turn to OLV for help.
Yes, and we're very proud of that. We really consider ourselves to be an all-encompassing support for families who are struggling with any part of their child's development. And we really enjoy working together with families. Families are the key. You can provide services to the individual who's having the difficulty, but if you don't encompass the family with those services, you're really not addressing the entire needs. So we strive to support families in their entirety.
Yeah, and there's a lot of families who don't know where to turn, but right. The OLV is the answer for a lot of things, and it's great to hear with this Evaluation and Treatment Center coming in 2024 that they can turn there also. So thank you both for sharing that exciting news for you and for families here in Western New York. Now, Cindy and Mary, again, thank you both for sharing those insights and the important work that the Evaluation Treatment Center is going to help children and their families. And OLV would like to thank the Children's Guild Foundation providing funding to help make OLV Human Services Evaluation and Treatment Center a place where children can get the proper treatment and support they need to live their best possible lives. Now, when Father Baker Today returns, we'll continue the conversation about all the wonderful resources that OLV Human Services provides. And later, we'll hear the story of the individual that started Fantastic Friends of Western New York and how a program like the Evaluation and Treatment Center could have benefited families waiting for autism screenings. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This segment of Father Baker Today is sponsored by Friends of OLV Charities.
Welcome back to Father Baker Today. I'm Kevin Sylvester. Now, we've taken some time this morning to tell you a little bit about how the legacy of Father Baker continues today through OLV Human Services, and how the organization's Evaluation and Treatment Center here in Buffalo will help families find answers when it comes to diagnosing and treating autism. Joining me now to continue this conversation about OLV Human Services and the Evaluation and Treatment Center is the Chief Program Officer for Community Services, Sheila Hunt, and the CEO, Cindy Lee. Thank you. I have the CEO and CPO here. I'm looking forward to talking to you both about this. Cindy, let's talk about the support and services that each child will receive through OLV after they come to the Evaluation and Treatment Center.
We feel very fortunate to have the wide array of services that we offer. So once a child receives a diagnosis, regardless of what it is, autism spectrum disorder or any other developmental disability, we are able to provide any support services they may need. For example, speech and language services, physical therapy, occupational therapy, any behavioral services that they may need. If a child is in need of a classroom placement, we have preschool programs as well as school-age programs. And if we have families who are really struggling and in need of consideration of residential placement for their child, we also offer that.
All right, so that's residential placement if they need it, but a lot of it is done through the home, isn't it, Sheila?
Home and community-based services, right? So what that program is, and I'll refer to it as HCBS because home and community-based services is a mouthful. So what happens is the services are put in place because if not in place, the children would have to receive services in a more restrictive setting, like long-term care. So in order to receive HCBS services, you have to have an assessment done by our health home care managers. They're the ones that make that eligibility determination. So they go into the home, do the assessments, and then from there, the different services that are applicable for the children can be, administered. So there are 14 home and community services. Not all agencies provide or are designated for all 14 services. OLV Human Services are designated for about 6 of them. Mm-hmm. So what happens is once the evaluation is done, the assessments are done, they can either qualify for community habilitation, day treatment, day habilitation, respite services, which is a vital one because that gives a break to the parents. They go into the home, the providers go into the home and provide services to the child, which normally gives the families a break. Sometimes you have one child that's autistic, but you may have siblings in the home, and so that just kind of gives the family a break or a rest, as you will, to do other things. And then there's also pre-vocational services where you may actually have someone that's looking for a job once they get to the age to where they are looking for a job. Pre-vocational services are, we help them with the application, we help them with the interview process, and then once they receive that job, then we also have, it's called supported employment, where they're paired with the job coach. They go out on the job with them and they kind of help them maintain, like how to, do a timesheet, how to, act appropriate on the work site. So it's just things like that. And just basically those are the services that fall under home and community-based services. But again, in order to receive those services, you have to be linked with the health home care manager. And the role of the health home care manager is to make sure that all the services are put in place so that the children can receive the best possible services and then live the best possible lives that they can.
And I think you said something there that's also important for the families.
Yes.
They do need a break because
Absolutely.
They're dealing, 24/7.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's such an important thing there. Let's talk about educational services that OLV provides.
Sure. So we provide, we have 2 early education sites that provide both special class placements and also integrated settings for typically developing children and then children with developmental disabilities, ages 3 through 5. And then we have school-age programming age 5 to age 21. When the child receives special education services in New York State, they can receive those services until they reach the age of 21. So our education services are very comprehensive, and we provide all of the related services that go along with that.
Yeah, and the earlier folks get their child evaluated, the more success they're going to have, whether it be the education services on site or at home, correct?
Correct, absolutely. And really, I work with staff now that work in our outpatient mental health clinic, and sometimes the diagnoses, they kind of overlap. So we may have a child that they think has ADHD, but then once they determine that that's not it, there's something else there. That's what the need for having that evaluation and treatment done for the autism, because it's a different diagnosis, but sometimes the symptoms can look similar.
I imagine, Sheila, the families are grateful, aren't they?
I would hope they are grateful. They always tell us that they are grateful, and it shows when we go onto the home. They, do show appreciation to the providers. So I would imagine that they are.
Yeah, and Cindy, the success stories I'm sure are numerous.
One of the best things that you can hear when you work in an agency like ours is that you made a difference in our lives. And when families let us know that, we know that we've done our job.
All right, and that's the mission of Father Baker. It was so many years ago. Make a difference in the lives of young people here in Western New York. Thank you for sharing these great programs that are out in our community to help families and young folks here in Western New York. OLV would like to thank the Peter and Elizabeth C. Tower Foundation and the Golisano Foundation providing funding to help make OLV Human Services Evaluation and Treatment Center a place where children can get the proper treatment and support they need to live their best possible lives. Now, when Father Baker Today continues, we'll be highlighting the Fantastic Friends of Western New York and find out who they are and why Fantastic Friends and OLV Human Services share a common goal. We'll be right back.
This segment of Father Baker Today is sponsored by Friends of OLV Charities.
Welcome back to Father Baker Today. I'm Kevin Sylvester. With decades of experience in serving children and youth with behavioral disabilities, OLV Human Services continues to positively impact the lives of individuals and families living right here in Western New York. And it's a pleasure to have Debbie Cordone from Fantastic Friends of Western New York join me now here at Father Baker's City of Charity. Debbie, thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
What is Fantastic Friends of Western New York?
Fantastic Friends is a social organization for individuals with developmental and/or intellectual disabilities, just to come and have fun, not be in school, not be in therapy.
Yeah,
have a good time, socialize, make friends.
Yeah, it's probably something that the folks, part of Fantastic Friends and the families look forward to, where it's not all work, it's play and socialize time.
Absolutely, and they're learning things in there. They just don't realize it while they're, having fun.
Why is Fantastic Friends close to your heart?
Well, I founded Fantastic Friends because I had nowhere to take my autistic son. At that time, he had some very challenging behaviors when he was young, and he was excluded from everything other than school. And I just couldn't understand why. So we decided to change that, and we did.
And I bet the response you got when you started Fantastic Friends for your son and others was, you're probably overwhelmed, I'd imagine, with folks who want to be part of it.
Yes, so we started with 12 autistic individuals and one-to-one buddies in a moose lodge doing a craft. And then the next month we went bowling, and from there we got a small center. The following year, a larger center, and then a training kitchen, and now we're looking to add an additional 3,000 square feet because the need is there.
Certainly, it certainly is, as I'm finding out from this program today, and I know our viewers are also here, the need is out there, but probably some folks find out there's something for me and my family here. Has that been the response you get when new members join Fantastic Friends?
Yes, we don't advertise. It's all word of mouth or social media, and when they find us, they're a little bit amazed that I didn't know you existed, and we're glad we found you. So, it's just, it's wonderful, and it's wonderful for those of us in the organization to have these individuals and their families a part of our lives.
What have you seen through the years from your son and his interaction with the Fantastic Friends group?
So my son, I'll see he's more comfortable in a crowd, I would say. We have some rather large events out at Evangola State Park where they go kayaking and paddleboarding, and we have a prom, and we have a very large Christmas party. So he's more comfortable in those settings now.
And what's it meant to you and your family?
Well, it's nice to see him out and, kind of running free. But it's nice for us to see the changes in the other individuals as well. Individuals who were extremely shy, who are now very social. So that's very rewarding for us. And it's also nice to see the parents get a break.
Yeah, and I'm sure other parents chance to compare notes too at times.
Absolutely, absolutely. We find many of our parents are making friends with each other, where we sit out for our individuals to make friends, but we're seeing the parents make friends as well and share stories, and that's very important, that they know they're not alone.
OLV has the Evaluation and Treatment Center opening in 2024. How much would that have helped your family if it were around at the time?
Oh, well, when James was diagnosed, it took a while to get that diagnosis, and I was kind of handed a pamphlet and sent on my way. I didn't know what to do, where to go, and I know OLV, through their other programs and how they operate, that won't be the case for any parents bringing their child for an evaluation. And parents are struggling to get their children evaluated right now. There's nowhere. There's such long wait lists, so they're just out in the cold, and I'm grateful to OLV for everything they do for this community.
Yeah, when people are looking for help, they often should look right to OLV, shouldn't they?
That's right.
All right, well, thank you for founding Fantastic Friends and sharing it with us here on the show, and glad to hear your son has had a great positive experience and all the other families that are part of Fantastic Friends.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, great to hear Debbie's story there. And OLV would also like to thank the James H. Cummings Foundation, the Core Family Foundation, and individual OLV donors for providing funding to help make OLV Human Services Evaluation Treatment Center a place where children can get the proper treatment and support they need to live their best possible lives. And I want to thank everyone for joining us over the past half hour for the special Father Baker Today here at Father Baker's City of Charity. Also, please remember that OLV Charities can always use your support for all the wonderful programs and services they offer in our community. For more information on the organization, go to olvhs.org or call 716-828-9500. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you soon.
This segment of Father Baker Today is sponsored by Friends of OLV Charities.
Hi everyone, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Father Baker Today to learn more about OLV Human Services Evaluation and Treatment Center. This support will provide necessary and timely evaluations to children suspected of having a developmental disorder, including autism spectrum disorder. If you would like to learn more or to make a donation, please visit olvhs.org/etc. Thank you so much.